Okay, welcome, all my ADHD beautiful brains. This is Elishawn Fairley, the ADHD cutie, and I do hope I'm live. Hope I'm doing it right. It looks right, so somebody could leave a comment and let me know that they can actually see me, hear me okay. That would be great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. All right, so today's topic again is my secrets that I've used to help my child be successful throughout his school years having ADHD. And this is elementary to high school. But keep in mind, as they get older, you're going to have to make adjustments for that age and for the school system that you're dealing with. So, but before I start, please, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, share the video, share my other social media links. And if you want more content about this or any other subject dealing with ADHD, whether it's yours or your child, please leave a comment and let me know what you would like. All right, here we go. So, what I have discovered in dealing 12 years with my son and his ADHD is that one, the school system doesn't know nearly as much about ADHD as I thought they did. And two, the special education department for school is not a separate department within the school like I thought. But again, it depends on the school. Where my son went to school in that county, it was not a separate department right there at the school. It was a completely separate organization in a totally different building, and they dispersed different people to these different schools. So each school did not have its own separate special education department. That's first and foremost, because that made a huge difference in my understanding of what I was dealing with and how the process actually works in that county where I was living. Okay. Again, could be different where you are, but this is what I had to deal with and what I've learned. And so, the first thing, way back in kindergarten, my son was, like I said, he was born a preemie, and so he had developmental issues all along. I got him diagnosed early and put the diagnosis, made sure it was part of his school record because I knew that was important. Documentation is everything. If it's not documented somewhere, email, a written letter or something, then it does not count. And that's with anything and everything dealing with your son's ADHD, trying to get him some assessments, any meetings or discussions that you have with teachers, staff, whatever. Get it in writing because if not, you might as well be talking more right there. They don't recognize it. Times, dates, people's names that you talk to, their position, that is extremely important every time you have a conversation or meeting or email or whatever about your child and their ADHD. Accommodations, provisions, whatever it is you're or whatever it is that you have. Make absolutely sure that you have that information every single time. When you're going to prepare for your meetings, first and foremost, you have the right as the parent to ask for an ADHD meeting. You don't have to wait for the school to set up a 504 or an IEP meeting. You can ask for it. If you see some changes in your child's behavior, if you see some drastic changes in their grades, you can ask for a 504 meeting. If he already has a 504, you can ask for a meeting to have it adjusted. to have some things added or to have some things tweaked. Many parents don't know that. I didn't know that. I thought I had to wait for the year is up and then, do some reassessing and whatnot then. But that no, that is not the case. You don't have to wait. You have the right as the parent to go to their classrooms. Yeah, you do. You can go and sit in the classrooms and see if they're actually following the plan. I didn't learn that until my son was in high school. By then, pretty much too late. Well, it's never too late, but it you can go to the classroom. You can't just go and pop up. You do have to talk to the school or whoever it is that you need to talk to make sure you can go and visit. But you do that. Go sit in that child's classroom and make sure they are following that plan if he has one or if she has one. Okay. The teachers are not the be all end all when it comes to your child. They don't know your child like you do. At least they shouldn't. The one and only person who should know your child better than anybody else is you. So if the teachers comes to you and tell you that uh, little Shaquan is acting up, not listening, being disruptive, then you'll know. If you know your child and that's not his regular behavior, then you'll know something's going on, either at school or after school or even in the hallways that the teachers don't see. And I say that because in middle school, my son started not wanting to go to school. And then he was really, really adamant about not wearing glasses anymore. He wanted to get contacts, but he wouldn't tell me why. I found out a whole year later in one of his 504 meetings that he was being bullied by classmates the year prior about wearing glasses. Now, one of his teachers told me that. They claim they didn't know. It wasn't until a substitute teacher came to the class. She noticed it. That's a problem. That's a serious problem because bullying doesn't just happen one day and it just goes away. Bullying until something's been. And you're telling me he sat in class all this time and you never noticed it? That is a problem. Stay on it. Stay on the school, stay on the teachers, stay in communication. That is very important. Guide your child as much as you can. Help them as much as you can. And a lot of times for us parents, that means you got to help yourself first. Because if your child has ADHD, and I've said this several times, if your child has ADHD, either mama or daddy has it. You can deny it all you want to, but right now that's not helping your kid because they're not able to verbalize and communicate why they can't sit down and be still for hours on end. They're not able to verbalize and communicate why they can't keep up with all these instructions that are just boom, 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 boom. They can't verbalize and communicate and tell you why they're not able to get all the notes off the board or finish a test in time, even though all the other students completed it. They're not able to tell you why they keep forgetting to turn their classwork in. Even though they brought it to school, it could be in their backpack. They forgot to turn it in. That happens all the time. That's something to look at. That's definitely a red flag for ADHD. Or if they forget to take their homework to school, you could watch them put it in a folder. They can still forget to take it to school. These are executive function skills. Again, they need your assistance. It's not just a get together, get it done, or you're going to be in trouble when your father gets home. That is not teaching them these skills that their brain is deficient in. It is not their fault, but there is something you can help them do about it. If you don't know, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you. Or look on YouTube. If you don't want to talk to me, go on YouTube. read about it, but you got to learn how to help your kid learn the way that they learn. The schools don't know. The schools are cookie cutter. They teach all one way, all the same way. Now, they're quick to tell you that all kids are individuals and they learn differently. Well, suffice it to say, then they need to be taught differently. But unfortunately, our schools are not set up that way. So therefore, they need accommodations. But again, the schools don't want to do that because a lot of times that means money. Well, guess what? It doesn't always mean money. If a child is having trouble focusing or concentrating, something as simple as letting them stand up and stretch can make a huge difference, especially any of those classes that they're having after lunch. After lunch, they've been hanging out with their friends and talking at lunch, so they're wired up, they're unfocused, they're hyper. You've got to figure out a way to get them focused and you know, whatever it is that you're trying to teach for the session, figure out a way to make it fun, to bring their focus back to you. In their ADHD meetings or in the 504 meetings, ask for accommodations to help them to focus. Like I've mentioned before, the noise canceling headphones, or where they can bring their cell phones and listen to music just at specific times, like if they're working on a report or if they're taking a test, but only during those specific times. Make sure that the ADHD accommodations in their 504 is very specific to when they can use those accommodations. Bring your child to these 504 meetings. Even at elementary, he may not understand everything that's going on, but let him experience the environment, hear what people are saying, so he can start getting familiar with how these meetings are run, what to expect. Talk to him about what accommodations he actually gets and what that really means for him so he understands his rights. So if he goes to a teacher and say, uh, may I have more time on my test? If that's in his accommodations in his 504, then she's got to give it to him. Because if she doesn't know or she hasn't bothered to check, she's going to say no and he'll just go sit down. And he could fail the test because he didn't have enough time to complete it. So it's important for them to know, but make it at the level where they can understand it. If they're elementary school, say it in a way where their elementary brains can comprehend it. Middle school and high school, it can be a little bit more specific and technical, but make absolutely sure they understand. And don't just say, do you understand? Have them repeat it back to you. What did you hear me say? Okay, if this is your accommodation and you have extra time, but only during big tests, state tests, what does that mean to you? That's how you know that they really understood what you said. And that's with everything with them. Going over their homework, helping them study for a test, have them repeat it back to you in their own words, not regurgitate what you said or what they read. That's how you know they really understood. And that's important for them. They've got to understand because understanding is where it all begins. If they don't understand it, they're not going to get it, and they're not going to be able to do the assignment. They're not going to be able to finish test or do the science project or whatever it is that they're required to do if they don't understand what is required of them, what you want done, how you want it done, or the school, when it's due. All that has to be clear, crystal clear. Schools, unfortunately, are not going to break it down for them, so you're going to have to help them do that. It is so, so very important. When you're having your 504 meetings, understand, like I said, depending on the school system and the county that you're in and the state that you're in, these are my four secrets that I learned from going to all of these meetings. My first secret is learn the rules of the game and who's writing the rules, whose rules they are. And what I mean by that is that Like I said, for the 504 team, that is run by the guidance office. It is not run by the special education department for that county. It was run by the guidance office for that particular school. And the 504 team was made up of staff in the guidance office and my son's teachers. That just floored me right there. This is not, no, this is not at all what I expected. Yeah. You're the ones that are saying that he's not doing this and he's not doing that. So how do you get to be the meeting, the team for the specialized accommodations that he needs? But anyway, okay, so know who's writing the rules. Are they from the state level or from the county level? If they're the county level, then it's probably the school board that's involved. You should receive a copy of these rules before the meeting. And I'm talking like at least 2 weeks before the meeting. It should not be the week of the meeting. It should not be a day before the meeting. Everything, when you're involved in these processes, has a deadline for you and for them. Let me say that again. Everything has a deadline for both you as the parent and them as the team. If you request to have your son evaluated or daughter evaluated, there is a time clock from the time you write that letter and send it out to the time that they have to respond back and let you know if they're going to do the testing. And then there's another time clock to how long they have to get that test set up and get it done. Everything has a time limit. Most parents don't know that. And of course, the school's not going to tell you that. Make sure you know those rules. And again, every time you talk to somebody, email them, phone call, whatever, write down their name, their position, exactly what it is they do, date and time that you talked to them, and then a little note about what was covered. And then follow up with an email with those notes to that person and CC whoever else you need to us. If it's going to a teacher, CC maybe guidance uh, person that's in charge of 504. Something like that. Always CC somebody. Okay. The second secret I learned is get to know your opponents. Who is going to be in this 504 meeting besides you and your child? Who is going to be sitting on the opposite side of the table, making these determinations to whether or not they get an assessment, whether or not they're going to be approved to get a 504? Because just because you ask for one doesn't mean they're going to give you one. You're going to have to fight it. And IEP is worse. I tried in elementary twice, middle school once, and high school once to get him an IEP, and every time it was no. No, he doesn't fit the criteria for an IEP. Well, you got to know exactly what that means. State and county criteria. You got to know. You got to know the rules better than they do. You just do. My third secret is to stay calm and focused. Now, whatever that looks like for you, if you need to practice, do a dry run of going to the meeting and asking some questions and, some situations that could come up, practice that so that you're calm, cool, and collected when you get to the meeting because they don't respond to your emotions. That has no place in the meeting. Sorry, but it doesn't. This is especially for my moms. I know we get all emotional. That's my baby. How are you going to treat him like that? And he said, then did. No. Facts and figures. That's all they care about. Who said that? What date? Do you have documentation for that? It's almost like going to court. Make sure you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because they will get you any little loophole that they can get through to deny you or to put you on hold and keep dragging it out. They're going to do it. You got to be ready. Never go to the meetings alone. I don't care if you got to bring your next door neighbor. Bring somebody who can be there as a support for you, somebody who can come and take notes for you, because that's important. You're going to need to take notes. And I would ask them at the beginning of the meeting, can you record it? They'll probably say, no, fine. We'll just take notes and have someone take notes for you so you can focus clearly on the conversations that are going on at the questions that are being asked. Have your child in as many of these meetings as you can, but talk to them before the meeting and find out if the school has talked to them. Because the school, of course, is going to want him to be on their side. And the school's going to say, well, you haven't been doing this, and you haven't been doing that, and you haven't been trying as much as you can. And the kid is going to say, well, yeah, yeah, that is true. But I've been asking you for years to help me help him with that. And that's how you want to frame it. Help me help my child so he can succeed. He can be better in class, which will make your job easier. That is how you want to present your case. If you have to pull out the big guns, then schedule your meetings in the afternoons, like right after school is over, and bring a little tray of like some, snacks or goodies or something, or maybe like a cheese and meat tray, or, some little finger sandwiches or something like that, doesn't hurt. Like they said, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. And then my fourth and final secret is that you learn to play the game better than they do so you can beat them at their own game. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're going to have to do some serious research, starting with your child. Because again, you've got to learn your child better than anybody knows your child. If your child is acting up at home, there's reason for that. Children are not naturally born bad. Stop saying that. He's just a little badass. Okay, there's a reason for that. Something's going on. You just don't understand what, and they're probably too young to be able to communicate and tell you what's going on. Find out what it is. Without the anger, without the frustration, I know that's easier said than done. I know. I get it. But I'm telling you from the mistakes that I've made. You've got to be able to communicate with your child without the emotion, especially as they get to middle and high school. Because once you shut down that line of communication, that's it. And your anger and frustration and how you respond to them is going to dictate whether or not they feel safe to come to you and talk to you about whatever it is. Whether it's school, whether they're being bullied, whether it's something about a girl or somebody's teasing them or the teacher speaking or whatever. Okay? Get to know the players, learn the teachers, communicate with them, and not just email. Go and talk to them. That was a big thing for me because in middle school, my son was really struggling in one of his classes, and I thought it was because of his vision issues. So we put all these accommodations in place for his vision, and he was still struggling. Well, it turned out that the teacher had a very, very thick accent. And because I had never verbally talked to her, I didn't know that. My son did not understand that that is what was keeping him from understanding. He wasn't understanding what she was saying because of her accent. And of course, no kid is going to say, well, I can't understand you because you talk funny or because you have an accent. No student is going to feel safe saying that. So he just tried to mumble through. But once I met her, I'm like, oh my God, I can't understand the things she said. No wonder he's struggling. So she and I talked and we, worked out some things where she could do either talk slowly for the whole class because it doesn't have to just be for him. I'm sure if he's struggling with that, other students are struggling with that too, but they're not going to say that. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't understand you. Your accent is too thick. No student's going to say that. So again, you have to step in and advocate, but teach them as you're going along how to advocate for themselves. Because once they get further into high school, like junior and senior year, they're not going to want to hear much from you. They're going to start asking your student, your child, well, is this working for you in class? Well, what do you think? Well, we've been doing this for you in class. Has that been working for you? Your child has to be able to feel comfortable enough to say, well, no, you all don't do that in every class. And no, they don't do that in whatever class. No, they don't allow me to do that in whatever class. And you, as a parent, like I said, are allowed to go and sit in classes and see. If they're supposed to be sat in the front of the class, in the middle of school, of the front and middle of the classroom to eliminate distraction, you want to go and see if that's where they're sitting. Yes, you have the right to do that. Bring a copy of the accommodations with you. Make sure that all the teachers have them right at the beginning of the school year. And before that, if you can, if you get their emails and their names before school starts, you make sure they have an email copy of that 504 and then set up a meeting with them and give them a paper copy in their hands so they can't say they didn't get it. Okay. And then when you're at your 504 meetings, if stuff's not going the way you thought or they're not following, because you can tell if they're not following, talk to your child. They'll tell you. Are you sitting in the middle, up front in the middle of the class? They'll probably say no. No high school kid is going to say, yeah, I want to sit in the front. Well, that's where you need to be. That's what's going to help you right now. Are you given extra time at your test? They don't. Once they get to middle school and high school, they're not going to want to do anything that brings attention to them, that points them out that the other students know that they're different. They're not going to want to do that. They're going to shy away from that. So you've really got to stay on that as the parents. So go to the schools, attend the meetings, bring your child with you to the meetings. Make sure that they understand what's happening before and what happens afterwards, that they understand exactly what accommodations they're entitled to, what their rights are. Even if it's something as simple as pulling your child out with the heavy reading classes and putting him in a smaller group, that was a tremendous help for my son. He didn't have to have it all 12 years, but he definitely needed it in elementary school for like a year or two. It made a tremendous difference. And then as he got older, we got more accommodations to help with that because it was very difficult for him reading because of his vision processing issues. Very, very difficult for him to just copy stuff from the board onto his paper. Again, that's a vision processing issue. It's very difficult for him. So he needed to be sitting closer to the board. His one of his first accommodations were he wasn't supposed to be copying anything from the board. They were supposed to provide him handwritten information because the schools now have smart boards. All they have to do is copy, print off whatever they wrote on the smart board and give them a copy. That should not have been an issue. Heck, give a copy to every student in the class. It'll probably help a lot because I'm sure there's other students struggling with that, but they're not going to feel safe to say that. They're just not. But get your kid comfortable in talking to his teachers because why? Once he goes to college, he's going to have to talk. There is no more mom and dad interceding for him. No more. He's got to talk. So whether that's emailing or texting the teacher, Whatever that looks like for that, she has got to get used to that. Okay. All right. So this has gone longer than I thought, 3 minutes. So I hope that it came through. I hope it didn't, no interruptions with the internet. Looks good, but I can't see it. So if you have any questions or concerns, please email me at adhdcutie@gmail.com. You want to set up a meeting, or I can send you a link so we can have a free 30-minute session and discuss this even further. So for now, this is the ADHD cutie. I am finished, done. Go relax for the rest of the day. You all enjoy your Sunday. Please stay safe out there and have an awesome week.